Assalamu alaikum. Good evening, dear viewer. My name is Ifrah Noor. Welcome to Dalsan TV News Bulletin. Here are our top stories for the day. Somalia has taken a decisive step in redefining its relationship with the United Arab Emirates. Earlier this week, the federal government of Somalia formally annulled all cooperation agreements with the UAE, including those related to security, defense, and strategic port operations. The decision was approved by the cabinet and later backed publicly by President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, who framed the move as a matter of sovereignty and national unity. For years, Somalia and the UAE maintained close ties, particularly in security cooperation and economic development. Emirati support has included training programs, security assistance, and involvement in key infrastructure projects. But the Somali government now says those relationships increasingly bypassed federal authority. In his speech, the president accused the UAE of dealing with Somalia through what he described as multiple doors, engaging regional administrations directly rather than working exclusively with the federal government in Mogadishu. This is where the stakes become much higher. At its core, this is not only a diplomatic dispute, it is a test of who speaks for Somalia, the federal government or its regions, at a time when the country remains deeply fragile, politically fragmented, and sensitive to foreign influence. Our reporter Mohamed Saido with more on this story.
The federal government's decision to annul agreements with the UAE marks one of the most significant foreign policy shifts Somalia has made in recent years. According to official statements, the cabinet's move covers all forms of cooperation, including security arrangements and port-related agreements, which Mogadishu says must fall under federal oversight. The government urges that foreign engagement conducted directly with federal member states undermines Somalia's constitution and weakens central authority. Somalia's relationship with the UAE expanded during years when the federal state was still consolidating power, allowing regional administrations to develop independent partnerships. Critics within the government say those arrangements contributed to fragmentation and competing chains of command. The fallout has already revealed internal divisions. Some federal member states have publicly rejected Mogadishu's decision, insisting they will continue their relationship with the UAE, a response that highlights the ongoing tensions between national unity and regional autonomy. The situation is further complicated by broader regional dynamics, including dispute over Somaliland, recognition politics, and competition among Gulf states for influence in the Horn of Africa. Mohammed Saido, Dalsan TV, English.
And now, a new development connected to this story. Sources say Ethiopian Airlines is set to facilitate the departure of remaining United Arab Emirates personnel and equipment from Mogadishu, a move that could signal the effective end of the UAE's security presence in the Somali capital. This comes just days after Somalia annulled its agreement with the UAE and following a high-level security meeting in Mogadishu between Somalia's intelligence chief Mahad Salad and his Ethiopian counterpart Ridwan Hussein. Photographs confirm that meeting took place, though no official details were released. While neither Somalia, the UAE, nor Ethiopia has publicly commented, the timing and coordination suggest this may be part of a carefully managed transition designed to avoid escalation while implementing the government's decision.
Sources familiar with the regional security coordination say Ethiopian Airlines is expected to transport UAE personnel and remaining military equipment out of Mogadishu. The use of Ethiopian Airlines rather than Emirati military aircraft is seen as a strategic choice, allowing for an orderly withdrawal under a civilian carrier closely aligned with regional security coordination. Ethiopian Airlines maintains regular flights to Mogadishu and operates under the Ethiopian government's oversight. Multiple sources suggest that several flights may be involved, with some carrying personnel and others transporting equipment from UAE-linked facilities in the capital. However, these details have not been officially confirmed. If completed, the operation will effectively close a chapter in Somalia-UAE security cooperation in Mogadishu, even as the UAE maintains influence elsewhere in the country through regional administrations and commercial interests. Analysts say the episode underscores Ethiopia's growing role as a security broker in Somalia and highlights how foreign partnerships are increasingly shaped by Somalia's internal political divisions.
President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud is expected to travel to Laascaanood on Friday, January 16. The visit comes after a high-level federal delegation arrived in the city ahead of the president, underscoring the importance Mogadishu is placing on direct engagement with the Northeastern regional state of Somalia, also known as SSC Katumo. Laascaanood has been at the center of a year-long conflict as local communities fought to break away from Somaliland's control and establish a new regional administration aligned with the federal government of Somalia. Federal officials stress that this visit is not a sudden move. It follows earlier engagement by the federal leadership, including a visit by Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre last year, signaling a sustained and deliberate federal approach toward Laascaanood and its political future. With the president now expected to attend the inauguration of the region's leadership, the visit is being viewed as a continuation of that strategy, carrying implications for national unity, federal authority, and Somalia's efforts to counter Somaliland's push for international recognition. Uganda is holding its general elections today, with voters across the country casting ballots to choose a president, members of parliament, and local government leaders. The vote pits incumbent President Yoweri Museveni against opposition challenger Robert Kyagulanyi in one of the most closely watched elections in the country's history. Polling is taking place nationwide under heavy security deployment, with authorities imposing restrictions including an internet shutdown ahead of the vote. As voting continues and counting preparations begin, results are expected to start emerging within the next 48 hours. Our reporter Mohamed Saido with more on that story.
Ugandans are voting today in nationwide elections to select the country's president, all members of parliament, and local government representatives. President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power since 1986, is seeking another term under the National Resistance Movement. His main challenger is Robert Kyagulanyi, commonly known as Bobi Wine, leader of the opposition National Unity Platform. Polling stations opened early this morning across the country. Reports from various districts indicate long queues in some areas, alongside delays at certain polling centers. Security forces have been deployed nationwide, and access to the internet and social media platforms has been restricted by authorities. Uganda's presidential election operates under a two-round system, meaning a candidate must secure more than 50% of the vote to win outright. If no candidate reaches that threshold, a runoff election will be required. Vote counting is expected to begin immediately after polling stations close later today. The Electoral Commission says provisional presidential results are expected within 48 hours, while parliamentary results will be announced progressively as constituency tallies are completed. The elections are being closely watched by regional and international observers amid concerns raised by opposition groups about campaign restrictions, arrest, and the broader political environment.
In Mogadishu, a different kind of story is unfolding, one that doesn't fit the usual narratives people expect. Women and girls are increasingly creating their own spaces, launching initiatives, and building communities around sports and shared activities. One such example is a nighttime basketball training session bringing together young girls and adult women on an outdoor court in the city. It's not a tournament and it's not a formal competition, but it is part of a broader shift where women are becoming more visible, more organized, and more confident in public life. Our reporter Mohamed Sido explains what this initiative represents and why it matters.
Under floodlights on an outdoor basketball court in Mogadishu, young girls and adult women train together in a setting that organizers describe as a safe, practical, and welcoming. The sessions are organized by a local sisterhood group aiming to make sports more accessible for women and girls. Training is held at night to avoid extreme daytime heat and to allow participants, many with school, work, or family responsibilities, to attend consistently. But participants say the value of the session goes beyond basketball. For many women, this is about confidence, routine, and having a space where they can show up without pressure or judgment. Girls train alongside older women, building familiarity and trust across generations. Families and community members regularly watch from the sidelines, a sign of growing acceptance and support for women's participation in sports. Organizers say this support is key, especially where public spaces have long been shaped by conflict and restrictions. What stands out is that these initiatives are not driven by institutions or external programs, but by young people and women themselves, planning, organizing, and sustaining activities that respond to their own needs. As Mogadishu continues to rebuild, small but consistent efforts like this are contributing to a broader social shift, one where women are not waiting to be included, but are actively shaping the space they want to be part of it. Muhammad Saido, Dalsan TV English.
Now for our last story, direct flights between Somalia and Saudi Arabia are set to begin as Saudi Arabian Airlines prepares to launch operations to Mogadishu. Somali aviation authorities say the move is aimed at improving travel for passengers, particularly pilgrims traveling to Mecca and Medina, while also strengthening air connectivity and economic ties between Somalia and the kingdom. An exact start date has not yet been announced, but officials say preparations are underway and flights are expected to begin in the coming weeks. Dear viewers, that's it from us today. Kindly stay connected to our platforms and social media for more updates and news at Dalsan TV English. My name is Ifrah Noor and have a lovely evening.